Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, aka Uncle Tex, aka Professor Tex, and whatnot. It's been a while since I think I did show Jim Brown, the passing of the great Jim Brown. Like you guys pretty much know, I don't really talk nothing until it's something worth talking about. So this week I found it something to basically talk about when it came down to that of Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings and them releasing him. And this is going to be pretty short, but to show you the disrespect that running backs are getting. And I saw a particular tweet, actually, two tweets actually, kind of coming from both sides, sort of, kind of. Des Bryant says something. Yeah, the whole thing of the running back, that's dying. Or it's more or less is dead, and football is just basically going to be a passing game and whatnot, and crazy numbers and all this other kind of stuff. Then I see RG3 talking. He's like, "How do you release a back that's giving you that particular type of production, and you release him?" And that's what I'm saying, and that's what comes in with me. I don't care really what anybody say. I'm old school from the sense of I came up on great running backs. I came up in the kid in the 70s learning about football and stuff like that, in the mid 70s, going through the 80s, 90s and stuff like that. And your running back, even though it's a different time, but I still say running backs are that extremely valuable. Your running back, like I said, came up, Franco Harris, O.J. Simpson, Chuck Foreman, Tony Dorsett, Earl Campbell, so many guys, whether it was Walter Payton, later on in the 80s, Eric Dickerson, Kurt Warner, guys like that, Freeman McNeil and whatnot, guys that, was workhorses for their teams and whatnot, into the 90s and whatnot, dealing with the great Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, later on 2000s, Marshall Faulk, and guys of that nature. Probably some guys I've missed, so Adrian Peterson and whatnot, Beast Mode, a lot of those guys. And when you try to say these guys are kind of gone by way of a dinosaur, that's kind of disrespectful to the game in its 103 going on 104 years of existence. And the running back was such a pivotal part of the game and whatnot. The game has changed because, like I told you guys a few years ago, I told y'all, it's turned into college ball. But even in college ball, you had great backs. But to say Dalvin Cook, and I was high on him coming out of Florida State. And, and like I said, you guys know I deal with numbers over here. We deal with numbers over here at Everything Football 62. So I went and looked at the numbers and said, well, what's really going on here? So I went back and looked at some of over the past 25 years or so, close 30 years, even probably going back a little bit further, but some of the top backs that have played for Minnesota, Pro Bowl backs, been in the playoffs, and were good backs and whatnot. And I went back, and I'll go back to that of and we'll dance with Chuck Foreman right now. Chuck Foreman, his formidable, Pro Bowl coming into the league from 73 to 77. He had eye injuries, some other injuries came up, and that's why his production had fallen off, and he basically ended up only playing 8 years and whatnot, out of the game by age 30. But his production years, 801, 77, 777 the next year, 74, and 75, 76, 77. His best year, his all-pro year, was in 75 when he 1,070 yards, 13 touchdowns, 73 receptions, 691 yards, and he was all-pro first team that year. Okay, so Chuck Foreman put up a lot of nice yards, a lot of arguments with about the Hall of Fame, stuff like that. Nah, because he don't have the crazy numbers, but Chuck Foreman was solid back. To me, one of the first, your back that you kind of see today. Like I always often tell when I'm arguing, going back and forth, dealing with 49ers fans, I'll always throw in, I say, well, Chuck Foreman was Roger Craig before Roger Craig and whatnot. Roger Craig is some better numbers and whatnot, obviously, and everything, and probably a better back and whatnot. But I'm like, he was doing those types of things, and that was the whole point of the whole conversation and whatnot. We go to that years later on, we go to Robert Smith. Robert Smith, hell of a back. You look at his years from 97 to 2000, you got 1266, 1187, 1015, and in 2000 he went for 1521, Pro Bowl year, and hell of a year. And he just like, I'm done. At 28, he was done. Right? He was done. and whatnot. You go to the great Adrian Peterson, who I look at as the last of the great, to me, and this is my opinion, like the backs that you could try to put up in my Rushmore, them backs in the mold of that of a Eric Dickerson, of that of a Walter Payton, of a Emmitt Smith, of a Barry Sanders and whatnot and stuff like that, big back and everything. We said the numbers that he did when all the years that he was there with Minnesota and the yards that he put up, which is just phenomenal. He's the greatest back that came through there. Probably somewhat considered probably the greatest player that played for that particular franchise. Now we go to Dalvin Cook. And so I was trying to figure out, like, well, what is the deal here? Like, why is he not, what is going on? I didn't hear a lot about money. I didn't hear a lot about stuff like this. So I ended up delving into some of his stuff. And it's like, so if you look at what he's done in his 6 years in the league, right? Coming in at 2017. First year was injury plagued, few injuries, off the field issues. But from 2019 to 2022, you're looking at somebody that rushed for 5,024 yards, 43 touchdowns, had 170 catches, 1,399 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost 1,400 yards of receiving yards. And his average for yards that year from 2019 to 2022, 1,256, which is almost 1,260, 10 touchdowns per. That's what he was averaging from that time. In a 4-year span, he had runs of 80. And some of his longest runs was that of 80 yards. He did that 80 yards once, twice over 70 yards long runs, and a run for over 60 yards. So why are you releasing a back with this type of production? When your quarterback, and I'm not going to call his name, y'all already know the Joker's name. I've done plenty of things on him, was supposed to actually be the straw that stirred the drink, a la Reggie Jackson, 77 Yankees. Nothing has happened out of that. Nothing. Right? So nothing's happened. But has he hasn't done anything based on the money that you actually is paying him. But Dalvin Cook is a casualty of that. How is he a casualty of that? With that type of production, I would say, and if you take that and you do that for another 4 years, because he's only 27, and I know you want to throw back some damn scrap heap after that. Yeah, it is what it is. And to an extent, I get it. It's a wear and tear on the backs and stuff like that. Your great ones, like I said, and I did a show on this, seem to last a lot longer than these guys under less circumstances of the physicality, insofar as those guys lasting longer and doing things long. When I think of, I say Dalvin Cook, whether it's Alvin Kamara, whether it's Saquon Barkley, whether it is all those guys kind of in the same class, Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and all those other different guys like that and whatnot. It was supposed to be these types of backs. And, Dalvin Cook kind of reminds me more of a back that could be a dual threat, but he's more of a workhorse type back and whatnot. Guy workhorse, and I always give that to like guys like Nick Chubbs, my man Jacobs over there in Vegas, and Nick, and of course, obviously King Henry and whatnot. And even when you could throw in Ezekiel Elliott when he was doing his thing and stuff like that. So my thing of it is this: it's like that. If you look at his production from 2019 to 2022, he has the ability in the next 4 or 5 years to possibly even do that, which would put him over a 10,000 yard. If he kept, say, 1,100 yards, that same type of production, what are we talking about? And then you're looking at he's been to 4 Pro Bowls. Say he did that again, that's 8 Pro Bowls and over 10,000, and you would put the 900 yards or whatever for his first 2 years and stuff like that. You're looking at somebody with 1,200 yards, possibly, and 80, 85, 86 touchdowns. You talking Canton? What are we talking about here? This is someone who is quietly has put up nice numbers. I didn't hear him bitching about money like most of the times you'll see. But then All of a sudden, he's gone. So he's going to be a nice pickup for somebody on a strong team. Needs to be on a team, I think where he has a decent quarterback that can make plays and stuff like that. So he'll be a nice pickup for some. Like if he played with the Bills, dude, that's a problem. He played with the Bills, that's a problem. That would be a major problem for a lot of teams over there, and especially over there in the AFC. I think that's the AFC East, if I'm not mistaken. And that would be a problem because they really don't have a back like that. And you have a running quarterback there with Allen and whatnot, and that take pressure off him instead of running the ball. That would give you almost something like what Carolina Panthers had back in 2015. But Minnesota leaves him going and leaves it to Cousins to be that guy because because I know what this is all about because they know they're going to have to pay Jefferson. They're going to have to pay Jefferson one way or another. He'll slide by this year probably, but this is the last year they're getting that rookie discount. If he doesn't be like, screw this in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months and say, nah, dude, I got to get it. I got to have it. You got to have it, then you're going to have to pay the man. I get that. But Dalvin Cook's, and I was just like, well, I was kind of blown away by his production. And I'm just like, wow, this guy's quietly put up some nice numbers as a professional football player in the NFL insofar as for like over the past 4 or 5 years. But Minnesota lets him go. Doesn't make any sense. But it's a stigma of running backs being not whatever. And I'm like, when did this stigma come about? Because you go back and you look at the first 70, 80 years of the game, your running backs are still your major dog. Emmett carried the ball. Walter carried the ball. Riggins carried the ball. Campbell carried the ball. All of these guys carried the ball. So where's the problem at all of a sudden where you feel as though that you're back? And Shanahan started all this shit after the whole Terrell Davis thing. Watson found it back, and that's fine. But then after he doesn't give you kind of what he needs to have, then you do away with him. I can understand maybe if he had an injury plagued year the last couple of years. No, he's been since 2017, after 2017, 2018, from 2019 to now, this production is just as good as any back that's been playing the game. You release him? For what? What kind of money was asking for? And whatever money he was asking for, pay him. But you don't want to pay him because your money is locked up with Cousins, and you know you're going to have to pay Jefferson. So whoever decides to get him is getting a productive back, 1256, 10 touchdowns. If we go do the math, giggles. And I gave you all this stuff with the rushing and whatnot, touchdowns. But if you want to throw in over the past 4 years, the 170 catches over the past 4 years. That's 42 catches. Okay. Clear that. 13, I'm going to say 1,400. $350 yards. Okay. So he gives you that. He gives you an extra 350 yards and whatnot for a back that's an every down type back. And this is the way you thank him. That's why I say, guys, get your bread. Just don't be foolish about it and all this stupid stuff that they do on the internet and social media and stuff. And he exited out with dignity and grace from what I saw. And that's good. But, it's like, why does a back like that get thrown into the junk heap? It's 27. It'll be 28 come August. And you throw him away. Run him until he can't run no more, until he says, hey, man, I'm done. That's how they used to do backs. Now they don't do them like that no more. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that because I still say, because quarterbacks are winning without that, I get it. You can't try to intimidate backs and hit them the way you hit them back in the day and stuff like that, whatever. But at the same time, he's still a commodity for your offense, especially somebody who's been as productive as he has been. What's the problem? I'm trying to figure that out. Same message went on with Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke been playing hurt the last 2 years. Go look up what he did his first 4 or 5 years in the league. He was right on track with Emmitt Smith and whatnot. But Dallas still found a way to do away with him. When in actuality, I don't think Pollard could carry the load like that. They'd be good, like a Jim Kick, Mercury Morris, Larry Zonka type thing. And whatnot. If Zeke is going to get Zeke, I think Zeke still finished with about 12 touchdowns. He's going to get you that in the red zone. He's still an issue. And I think he can still get you 1,000 yards for the next 3 or 4 years. But I don't know, man. Dalvin Cook is a very good back. You know, he's not Marshall Faulk. He's not LaDainian Thompson. He's not Thurman Thomas. He's not even got Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, McCaffrey. I've already talked about that. Those guys are not, they're not that. They keep saying that because, oh, they got the same amount of Pro Bowls. No, dude. Not the same back. You guys way more explosive, way more durable, just better. You know what I'm saying? They're just better. But yeah, man, you know, y'all leave some comments below, man. But like I said, I don't understand that. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me on why you would do that and whatnot. But that's the NFL, though. That's how they do backs and whatnot. And I think that's just a sense of, well, you know, okay, we'll see what happens, though. But I can tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do, and there's no greatest of all time as long as time's still going on. You guys, you have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll holler back at you guys later. Have a good one.